Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Today I got a special guest, my beautiful mother here.
Oh, thank you, Jeremy.
You're welcome. And we are going to talk about some relevant topics that's going on today. If you guys don't know, which I hope you should, we are in the middle of an election year, and we got Biden, we got Trump. I don't know. Did you watch the presidential debate?
I watched the presidential debate, but I didn't do the vice president.
Vice president? Okay.
I watched portions of it because I was in and out.
Right.
And then I was busy. But I watched clips of it.
Okay. One of the questions that was asked was, and I think this is a big one for everybody because it just recently happened, right? Was, did Breonna Taylor receive justice? Did her case receive justice? And Pence said he believes so, and Kamala Harris said she doesn't feel like it did. But what was curious about that is she never really gave any type of, I don't know what's the word,
A recourse of what
a
she
recourse
would
of
do.
what should have happened. She just said it didn't receive justice.
You know, that's a hard question for me to answer because of the way that I think. I don't believe you could ever get justice for a loss of life. There's no amount of money in the world that can replace a life of someone you love, or just a life period, because a life is precious. No matter when it starts, that's from the womb to the tomb, life is precious, and there's not a price tag on it. So I would say there's never justice, but according to our legislation, our laws and things like that, our judicial system, I would say that there may or may not have been, because there's so many different takes or looks at the case. The media put out in one, what do you call it? When they first opened up that case, they put out all this misinformation, but
Yes.
but that drives people's emotions, and it got people all hyped up about, oh my gosh, the police just barged into the wrong apartment, killed this person, shot her up, did this, and then so people went off that hype of what the media put out and just said, hey, so it started off in a whole bad light anyway. It started out as bad trail. So to some, it'll never be justified, and people will never get off of what they first heard, because a lot of times what you first hear is what you believe. And you carry that with you through all the entire case.
When I first heard it, they said that they busted into the wrong apartment. They just barged in, wrong apartment, and killed her. Right, that was the narrative. Was they barged into the wrong place and shot Breonna Taylor. So that's all we kind of had to go off of for a very long time, so that's what we had to go off of. And then when we look later into the case, is that they actually had a warrant. Breonna Taylor's name was on there. It was a no-knock warrant. And they, in fact, were at the right place. Right? So now it's a little different, right? It's it's
a lot different.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the case or not, but I'm
a little familiar about it. I've listened to some of the studies on it, and I saw the whole police report is rather long, rather lengthy. Right. But I watched some video footage of it and some lawyers explaining it. Right.
Well, here's the facts. Here's what happened for some of you guys that may not know. The cops had a warrant with Breonna Taylor's name on it.
A no-knock warrant.
A no-knock, specifically no-knock. Her ex-boyfriend was a drug dealer.
And she also was an accomplice. She was with him during the... we really don't know how deep she was, honestly.
Right, we don't know, right? We don't know.
But we know she was involved.
But this is why she was on the warrant, was because that her ex-boyfriend was at her house, seen picking up a package. Who knows what's in the package? We don't know.
And before he became her ex, his ex, they were together doing things.
Right, exactly. Right, so that's why she's on the warrant, because she's with the guy that's a drug dealer, and the cops are following his tail and is seen in Breonna Taylor's house taking a package and then going to a trap house.
Not just one time, multiple times.
Right? A trap house where multiple people, if you don't know what a trap house is, you go there and you get drugs, right? So he's seen going from Breonna Taylor's house to the trap house and then back to Breonna Taylor's house to the trap house, right? So they're following this activity. That's why they have a warrant out for Breonna Taylor. It was a specific no-knock obviously for surprise, to keep evidence intact. Right.
And the guy in prison, her ex-boyfriend, would call her and give her instructions as to what to do and who to talk to and where to meet certain people, and she would do that as well, even when she was with her new boyfriend. Right,
and that's why they had the no-knock warrant for Breonna Taylor. So it wasn't the wrong house as you see in the beginning. Oh, it was a no-knock. It was they barged in. They didn't the wrong home. That's what you saw. That's what I saw. And when the cops, AKA, knocked or didn't knock, I don't think that's really relevant. They just busted in, and her boyfriend at the time shot one of the officers. The officers then returned fire.
Let me stop you for a second. If I knew I was in the dirty,
right?
Okay, and my boyfriend was there, and he had his Glock or whatever, he had his gun, right?
Yeah.
And he got out of the bed to go to the door. I'm staying in the room. I'm not going out with you.
Right.
I'm gonna be in the bedroom with my own Glock, protecting myself.
Yeah.
And anything to come through this.
Well, the police report said they were in a hallway.
I'm just saying. So, I'm just saying. I don't know why she was in the hallway. Well, I wouldn't go out there.
With what we know with the case, as far as who Breonna Taylor knew she was dealing with, she was with a drug dealer. Okay. She has no. It's a late at night. There's a knock at the door.
I don't understand why she went out there.
Her boyfriend is on edge because he thinks, hey, somebody's here to AKA either rob us. There's other gang members maybe there.
That's why I stayed in the room hiding with a gun.
So he's got a gun ready. All right. Right. The cops barge in. He said the cops didn't identify themselves as police officers, so that's why he shot. Right.
But there was neighbors that said that they did hear.
Sure.
And there was some neighbors that said they did not.
And we'll get back to that. So when he shoots an officer, shoots the first shot, as he says he did, because he said he did. That correlates with what's happening. That's the truth.
What the police said.
What the police report. So he shot one of the officers in the leg. I think it was the leg or the hip. And the cops then return fire. There's 3 of them. 2 now inside and 1 outside. The 2 return fire back at shots being fired at them.
Right.
Right? That's normal.
Yeah, it is.
If a cop gets shot at and shot, fire is coming back.
Right. If my partner that I'm with is getting shot at, I'm putting my gun out too.
Right. Now,
I don't know how many people were there. Maybe I couldn't see just like he couldn't see.
Well, they know. But nevertheless, they know the activity.
Don't know if there's the gang activity. Like I would be.
Exactly. They know there's gang activity. They know these guys are known for having guns.
Right.
Looting cops. Destroying evidence, so they know they're dealing with a dangerous group. They don't know who's there. So there's 2 of them in there. 2 of them return fire back. The officer outside returns fire from outside of the house, which is crazy. He doesn't see what's going on. He's just shooting into the home blindly, right? And out of all of that, Breonna Taylor ends up getting killed.
That's
right?
Unfortunate.
Which is very unfortunate. But my question is, what justice can be done more so for Breonna Taylor? Because some will say, well, what if the cop outside shot Breonna Taylor?
Then he should get a charge of what do you call it? Involuntary manslaughter.
Right.
Whatever it's called. Yeah.
Involuntary manslaughter or manslaughter.
Because it was an accident.
Right. Would he mean to just go in there and barge? No. So it'd be an involuntary manslaughter.
But he was shooting blindly. He shouldn't have did that anyway.
Correct.
So that's why he got charged. He got charged with something. He didn't get. He got fired.
He got fired.
And charged, didn't he? Did he get charged?
He got charged with.
I think he did.
Some type of. I can't remember what it was.
Because there was a family in one of the apartments, apartment number 3, I think they said.
Right.
Was a pregnant woman with her husband and another child. So if they would, what if the bullets would have got them? He would have killed all those people.
Wanton endangerment. Wanton
endangerment.
Wanton endangerment.
Okay.
Is what it was.
Okay.
They have ballistics. Each firearm has a ballistic code, kind of like a fingerprint would on a gun. So they know whose gun shot who based upon ballistics, right? If you don't know what ballistics are, again, it's like a fingerprint for each gun, right? So they know whose gun shot who.
They should.
They should know that. And I was actually curious on wanting to see that information for them to say, hey, we have the ballistics on each firearm.
Whose gun shot her.
These specific bullets shot Breonna Taylor.
Because they said she was shot 6 times, and there was only one shot that was lethal.
Right.
The other shot she could have survived.
Correct. Right.
But I got a question too on this right here. How come she was the only person that gets shot, and how come her boyfriend didn't get shot? But they were both in the hallway.
I think it's just a chance thing. I don't know.
See, I don't believe
know.
that. I
mean,
believe there's an untold story there. I really do.
Meaning, you think he?
I think he
hid
either hid behind her, or he put her in the front and dropped on the floor.
It's possible.
Or got behind her.
How many times did they shoot?
Because I think she got, I don't know how many times, maybe 30 something.
Oh, okay. So it was at 12:40 a.m. is when they were outside.
Okay.
So it was late at night. Right?
Okay.
It was really late.
So that bothers me. That bothers me that she took all the bullets. Not all the bullets, but what I'm saying is she took the shots and he didn't get not one nick. That bothers me.
Yeah.
I could be, a conspiracy theory or whatever, but I'm just saying, we together in the hallway, I get shot up 6 times and you don't get not one nick of a bullet?
Yeah.
Did you get behind me and I die because of you?
I think it's extremely unfortunate.
I'm just saying, it's
I mean,
very
when you look
sad.
at the case, I just don't know what more could have been done against the other officers. Like, what charges would you charge an officer returning fire after getting shot at?
I don't believe they deserve a charge. I believe that they did right. I mean, that's what they're trained to do, and that's what I would do if I was a police officer.
Right. I think they're stuck on the they didn't identify themselves as a police officer.
Well, if they had
I think
a
they're really
warrant,
stuck
they didn't
on
have
that.
to.
Right. I think a lot of people in people's minds, I know I was for a little bit, was stuck on they didn't identify themselves as officers, so they should have then not have returned fire. Like, how does that sound?
No,
right?
It doesn't.
It sounds a little weird, right? Mm-hmm. So even if they didn't identify themselves as police officers and somebody shot them, they're not just going to say, well, we didn't identify ourselves as cops, so we're not going to return fire back.
No, that's ridiculous.
I mean, so... And that's why her boyfriend got let off of the attempted murder charges.
They were being lenient to him then.
Right. They took his side and said, hey, we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You
that was special.
Thought that it was an intruder barging in and you shot. But to charge the officers for firing back after getting shot at, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm curious, in the comments, if you guys want to comment, what do you think should have happened, in this case? I really don't know. I don't, again, the officer that fired outside was fired.
He should have been, because he could have killed he could have killed innocent people that had nothing to do with anything, in their bed sleeping.
Correct.
He could have killed a woman that was pregnant.
Right.
Her and the baby, or the baby, or I'm just saying, he could have just killed up a lot of people. So that was negligent on his part.
Correct. So he was fired.
Good.
The state of Louisiana.
That's justice, right? That part is.
Louisville,
if you want to consider that as justice,
right?
You're not gonna say I don't believe anything would be justified
and the
here.
$12 million awarded to Breonna Taylor's family,
and that was a big thing because they've never done that before.
Right. I mean, that's a lot of money. $12 million to her family, and again,
to the lawyer too.
Nothing. Right. Who knows? But again, no money can buy justice. Right. So. But her family was awarded $12 million. One of the cops was fired. An officer was shot. I mean,
it's messy.
I just don't. It's extremely messy.
It's messy.
What exactly justice were we looking for?
Yeah.
Were we looking for the death penalty? Were we looking for all of them in prison?
It's not going to happen.
Right. So
because they did what they were supposed to do.
Correct.
As I would do.
And I asked the viewers in the audience, if you were shot at, are you going to return fire? Probably. If you're getting shot at, you're going to return fire.
If I have a gun, I am.
Right. And when you put yourself in that situation, it's hard to say, well, they should have just put their guns down and just taken the shots. I just don't, I don't know.
No. That's foolishness.
Right.
I'm going to say this right here. And I used to hate when my grandmother would say this because my grandmother would always say this: birds of a feather flock together. And I say that because when you have and live a certain lifestyle, it is unfortunate that you have consequences for that particular type of lifestyle. Yeah. In other words, if you hang around a bunch of, I'm going to use the word thugs, it doesn't mean just black people. I'm just saying.
You mean people that are involved with criminal activity?
That's what thugs mean. Exactly.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
If you hang around with that type of lifestyle, then that lifestyle is going to eventually get the best of you. My grandmother used to always say that. I would have these little friends here that you don't hang around with this person. One of my boyfriends was an abuser. And I was like, because he would have a history of beating up girls and stuff. I was like, and she's like, you don't need to be with him. Then I'm like, yeah, she would, but then, me and him got in a fight, So I'm like, yeah, she was right. So, hey, sometimes we put ourselves in these predicaments.
Yeah.
And, predicaments. Anyway, we put ourselves in these situations And things happen, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes
And it's
people
sad.
lose their life because
right.
of hanging around with the wrong people.
Right. And it's sad. So, I mean, again, so
It is sad.
it's very sad what happened. And that was one of the questions in
sad.
the debate. You know, right now we're going to take a little break. I'd be curious to see what you guys think as far as what justice should have been served. It would have been interesting it was a good opportunity for Kamala Harris to say, hey, this is what should have happened. Right. Because a lot of the viewers, a lot of the black viewers, a lot of us are saying, "Oh, she didn't get justice." Okay, so then what give us an example of justice.
Well, she's a
prosecutor.
lawyer, prosecutor. She was in the perfect position to say what would be good justice.
Correct, but she didn't. I think she just deflected and said, I got the soundbite. We could play that, but she just said she didn't think that justice was served, and it was sad, and she apologized to the family, but she didn't give us an example as far as what does justice look like. So
because probably she didn't know. Maybe we can only speculate at this point.
I think you're right. Either that or she knows, hey, nothing really could have AKA been done. You know,
or they did a good job
with what they did. So it was a good chance for her to say, this is what should have happened. This is what I would have done. This is what this administration would have done with our Supreme Court. Like they said, they're going to stack the Supreme Court.
Oh boy, that's another subject too.
Right. So it would have been a great opportunity for her to give us an example as far as what should have been done. It was a good, but she kind of backed down from that and kind of just said justice wasn't served. You know, okay, well, give us an example, you know? So, yeah. So yeah, I appreciate we're going to segue into another, couple more topics. I think they talked about abortion, Roe v. Wade, you know, so, we'll get more into that. And, yeah, that's first segment. Appreciate you guys. And, like, share, subscribe. Thank you. Beautiful mother, having you on here. And, yeah, we'll get back to it. Thanks guys.
All right.